I swear, it's like they knew I was about to start filming about them, and so they decided to have sex. Anyway, hello everyone, my name is Ella. Welcome to another vlog. I am not recording in my room because, as you just heard, my roommates are in the middle of some passionate, noisy sex. So, we're in the living room. Also because I don't want them to hear me, because today's video is about them. Did I call them roommates or did I call them neighbors? They're my neighbors, but I keep calling them my roommates because I hear everything that goes on in their lives. So long story short, these people moved in November, December, and I never really had a problem with them until January, and I'm not sure why. Maybe I just wasn't hearing them. Maybe they just were quiet up until that point. I don't entirely know. But I've been having noise problems with them since like the beginning of the year. This ranged from them having their TV on loudly to them having sex so loud and so hard that it was shaking my bed, because the way that these apartments are set up, there is only one wall that the bed can be against in our bedrooms, and that wall is parallel in our apartments. So my bed is here and then their bed is here. So whenever they're playing hide the cucumber, I get to hear it. If they're particularly into it, I get to feel it, which is not something that is fun any time of the day, but certainly not at 3 in the morning, and certainly not getting woken up by it at 7:30 in the morning. So I kind of try to deal with it at first, and there's what can I do, because it's an apartment complex. Sometimes you just have to deal with things. But then they started having their TV on loudly all through the night, and I was getting no sleep because of it. The first night, I just kind of let it happen because I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. There's not really anything I can do aside from knocking on their wall to let them know that they're keeping me up, which I did several times to no avail. And then the second time it started happening, I combated it by blaring Let It Go on my laptop as loud as they had their TV. And I will say the first night it kind of worked, because I would leave it on and then I'd turn it down a little bit, and then as I noticed that their TV was also being turned down, I would turn mine down, and eventually I just ended up sleeping through Let It Go. Oh my god, I can hear them all the way in here. But I managed to start sleeping through Let It Go, and before I fell asleep, I called my apartment complex at 2 in the morning and was like, look, they have their TV on so loud that I cannot sleep. They're also having sex, which is keeping me awake. Is there anything that you can do? And so I called back the next morning because they didn't call me, and they're like, yeah, we got your message. We left them a note on their front door, but there's not really anything else that we can do. You're gonna have to go to the police. And I was like, well, I don't feel comfortable doing that because one, a cab, and two, as annoying as they are being, I don't feel comfortable calling the cops on people that are just living their life, especially if they're people of color. I'm not trying to get anyone killed or shot or anything like that, and so I just did not feel comfortable doing that. And then they kept me up all night a third time, and a fourth time, and a fifth time, at which point I finally called the office again at 5 in the morning and was like, look, they have kept me up all night. I've tried calling the police. I hadn't at that point, but I was just telling them what I wanted to hear, hoping that they would actually do something. What are you going to do to fix this? Because I deserve to sleep as much as they deserve to apparently have sex all night long after being awake all day long too. So called me back and they were like, yeah, we're sorry, we left them another warning on their door, but we really can't do anything until you call the cops on them because there's just not anything that we can do. Never mind the fact that it's their apartment complex, and if they get enough noise complaints from the same tenant, they have every right to make that tenant move out. But whatever, it's fine. They want me to do their job, fine. So my mom then, only because my parents are paying for my apartment right now because COVID, my mom called and was like, look, my daughter's not getting any sleep. What time are quiet hours? Because here's a tip, every apartment complex will have quiet hours, and if anyone is making loud noise after that, you can call the apartment complex, but you have to call the police. So something is done. But my mom was like, look, when are quiet hours? What are you going to do to fix this? Because if my daughter has her car messed up or if she's attacked or anything like that, I'm going to file a lawsuit against you. Hi. So while I was editing this, I realized I never really explained what kind of happened after I called the office for the first time and they left a note. That night, the neighbors tried to come over and talk to me, they knocked on my door, and I didn't know who it was, so I was hesitant, and by the time I got over to the door, they had gone back in their apartment, and that's the only reason I knew it was them, was because I heard their door closed. So that whole thing about me being worried that they were going to retaliate and mess up my car or try to hurt me or something like that was because of that, because I don't know what kind of people they are, and I don't know how pissed they are that I keep getting mad that I'm not getting sleep. So that's where that whole train of thought came from. And she had to work it out of them to get the office secretary to say when quiet hours was, because she didn't want to tell my mom, which is yikes. Why would you not want to say when the quiet hours are? On a side note, every time I call this office, they just sound like they don't want to listen to me. Even if it's just for bugs in my apartment, because this apartment is the worst. I literally do not keep any food outside of the kitchen at all, and I still keep finding all kinds of bugs all in my apartment, and it's nasty and it's gross, and every time they spray they come right back. So they're tired of hearing from me, and honestly I'm tired of calling them because I just want to live my life and enjoy my apartment. But I've digressed a little bit. Back to the story. They just tell my mom that the same thing that they've told me, that they can't do anything until I call the police and have them do something. And I think it was either that day or it was a day before that my mom called. I did call the police, just to see what I needed to do during the day, and they were like, well, if they're not doing it right now, we can't do anything. We just need you to call when it's happening so that someone can come out, and then we'll go from there. And I was like, okay, I figured that's how it was. I just wanted to call and figure it out, and no. And so finally, it was this past Friday, because it was WandaVision Day, so I was mad that I was woken up at 2 a.m. by them screaming and arguing. And I didn't know what to do, because this was the second time already that I had heard, I had been woken up by them screaming and arguing at 2 in the morning. But the first time when I finally got my phone out to call the police, they stopped, and then they didn't do anything again. So I was like, well, I can't call anyone if they're not doing anything right now. But this time they, were screaming and yelling, and it wasn't even I still can't comprehend what was happening, because I don't know if they were slamming drawers or doors or what, but it shook the wall. And so that woke me up, and then I heard them screaming, and that woke me up more. I didn't quite hear what they were saying, but then it sounded like, I'm guessing the guy left, and because I heard her say, where did you go? And I heard her sliding door open, and then I heard another door open. and like her voice sounded distant, so I assumed that she had like gone out into the living room or something. And then shortly after that, I hear her kind of like scream, not like bloody murder scream, but like scream. And the guy goes, what? What? You know, kind of like menacingly. And I was like, what am I listening to? Like, is this girl in danger? What's happening? By this point, I'd heard two different guys talking in her apartment at separate times. So I'm not sure if there's like a whole affair going on or what. But so they're like screaming and everything, and then like he does that weird, you know, like what, and then like they start laughing, and I'm like, what is, you know, what's happening? And at that point, I could still kind of hear them talking a little bit. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could hear that it was still kind of like loud-ish. Like, I don't want to necessarily say that it was heated or anything, but like, you know, it was loud enough that I could tell that they were still going on about something. So at that point, I did call the police, because I was like, you know, just the arguing, this is the second time that it's happening, and then this is how many nights that they've kept me up till 3 a.m. or later being loud in some capacity. So I called the police, explained what had happened, said I didn't quite know what was going on because they had been screaming and yelling, and then now they were laughing, and I just didn't know what was going on, and I wanted to be safe. So the operator was like, well, do you want to be contacted when we come out there? And I was like, if they feel like they need to speak to me, they can talk to me. Otherwise, I'd really like to try and go back to sleep. Which was my mistake, because I still don't know if the police ever came to stop anything. I'm going to assume that they didn't, because an hour later, well, 2 hours after I woke up to watch WandaVision and finish WandaVision, they were having sex again. Like they always do. So I'm assuming that if the police showed up, that my neighbors didn't care at all. Or it turned them on or something, because they were right back to having sex. So that's where I stand now. I had to call the police. I didn't like it because I don't know, like it feels kind of bad, like calling the police on people that are just living their lives, because I know a big part of it is just the fact that it's an unfortunate circumstance of living in an apartment where our beds have to be like right next to each other, and that, you know, it's just because the walls are thin and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, man, like, I deserve to be able to sleep peacefully too. And also, like, it's one thing to have sex. They're adults. I'm an adult. I get it. When you're with someone, sometimes you want to have sex. Like, that's fine. I get that. But at the same time, I don't want to hear you screaming and yelling. I don't want to hear you slapping her. Like, I get it. We're all adults. But at the same time, like, there's some things that you don't do. Or I guess maybe that I wouldn't do if I was living in an apartment complex where I knew that my neighbors could hear what was going on. So, I don't know. Maybe they're into that too. But yeah. That's where I am currently. I never heard anything back from the police, so I don't even know if the police actually came out at all, even after the fact. So that's great, because the next time it happens, they're not going to come out either, unless I guess I specifically tell them, you know, I want to talk to you when you get here, because then maybe they will actually come. But, because otherwise I don't know what to do. Every time I go to the front office, they're like, go to the police. And when I finally go to the police, they don't even come. So it's like, it's catch-22. I hate it. I can literally hear them talking right now. They've moved over into the living room now, too. So I guess that's my cue to go ahead and end this video. If you guys would like more storytime kind of videos, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you'd like me to talk about. I don't have a lot of like YouTube clickbaity stories or anything like that. But I can always talk about like my childhood or like weird things that have happened to me and stuff like that. Trips to Disney, anything like that. So if you'd like more Storytime videos, definitely let me know. If you have any other ideas for videos, anything you'd like to see me do, anything non-personal that you'd like to hear me talk about, let me know. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to, if you haven't already. Click on that notification bell to get notifications when I post a new video. If you watch me for Marvel, I will be back on Friday for the episode... What are we on? 7? Episode 7? Are we up to 7 already? Episode 7 of WandaVision. No, that can't be right. We're on 8, aren't we? No, we're on 7. Anyways, I will be back on Friday with a new episode of my WandaVision discussion series. If you don't watch my Marvel videos, I'll be back next Wednesday with another regular video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye!